Welcome to my Chargers versus Texans recap, where the Chargers just lost to the Texans. So I'll be going over this game briefly and also kind of covering where the Chargers are at right now and kind of how the Chargers are just failing Justin Herbert. Overall, it was just a really tough game to watch, especially the first half. I mean, the Texans offense completely just killing us. They scored 14 points within the first quarter, both touchdowns being huge bombs, and it looked hopeless at first. The offense wasn't getting going either way. They're comparing the yards for both offenses, and I remember the Chargers had like 16 yards in like the first quarter alone compared to like the 150 the Texans had. It was rough. I thought it was going to be a blowout, but the defense they really held strong after the first quarter, and that's one thing the Chargers have done really good so far is their defense. Just like last week against the Cowboys, the defense really figured it out as the game went on, and they got us right back into this game. And Justin Herbert played one of the best games I've ever seen in my life. The stats don't give him justice. And I'm glad this game was on prime time to show people what really Herbert's about, because statistically Herbert's not been the greatest this year, but if you watch him play, you know he's like a top 5 quarterback in the league without a doubt. For people who just watched this game, you didn't think Herbert was that good or whatever, Herbert plays like this about every game. His stats aren't the prettiest, but because his teammates are kind of just failing him. What he does, I don't think not a lot of other quarterbacks can do, and I am so glad the Chargers have him. I would not want any other quarterback in the league other than Herbert. But as it went on, just little mistakes costed the Chargers, especially the special teams. Dicker, I don't know what happened with him. If he makes his kicks, the Chargers, it's 2020 at the end of the game. Who knows what happens? But instead, we had to rely on the defense to stop the Texans just from getting first down. And I'm gonna be honest, a trash call kills us. I didn't think it was a flag, and it's rough to see because we know we could have gotten out of that situation earlier in the game, and that's the story of the day. So many mistakes just costed the Chargers today. It was a very winnable game. The other part of the special teams I want to talk about is J.K. Scott. I think it's time for him to go. That might have been one of the worst punting displays I've ever seen. Every single time he punted, he muffed it, and the Texans usually started at midfield. Luckily, our defense still came clutch, but it would have been way better to get way better field position for the offense. The Chargers still fought back even with mistakes. We got a touchdown with Ryan Gatson, which I will say he kind of costed us too. More mistakes out of him. He looked bummed out even after he scored the touchdown, and honestly, if he catches that goes for a pick, the game is a very different game. I think we win the game if he catches that pass. Again, just those little mistakes on offense really costed us today. And I honestly, I don't want to say we were the better team. Both offenses played pretty sloppy, but I know the Chargers can be better than that on offense. We easily played one of the worst games on offense. Honestly, the offense did. Herbert, that was one of the best games I've ever seen him play. It was, like I said, if you watch this game, you know how good he did. His stats do not do him justice. And I think it's time I talk about the O-line. Oh my god, this O-line was horrible, especially the first quarter and kind of the first half. Herbert couldn't do anything. Those first few drives where we only had like 16 yards within the first 2 to 3 drives. Herbert, every single pass, he was killed. I think literally the first 3 pass attempts were sacks on Herbert. And they didn't do very good in the run game either. Martin Hampton really had nothing to work with today. I don't want to say it was his best day either, because there were some holes he missed. Don't get me wrong, but oh my god, there was nothing he could do a lot of the time. And it sucks to see. It's a very talented offense, but the O-line is really failing us, and that's where my biggest part when I say the Chargers are failing Herbert. It's kind of the O-line. I mean, I don't want to say the Chargers aren't building the O-line. They could have built it better. Don't get me wrong, but there was pieces. Rashawn Slater, Joel, the center was the main thing. I really wanted a better center. We got Mekhi Becton. We weren't expecting him to be this bad. I mean, he had a good year last year, sorry. And it's just all falling apart. Mekhi Becton, he missed quite a bit of this game too. He was in and out. I'm assuming he got hurt again, just like every game. And O-line, especially Bobby Hart on the left side, was getting killed every single play. But when Herbert did have time, he was making plays, even times when he was under pressure. And it just sucks to see because we finally got Herbert some receivers. Quentin Johnson had a big catch today too. He didn't do the worst. And it seems like they're not getting used fully just because of how bad the O-line is. We finally got him receivers for the first time since Mike Williams and Keenan Allen when Herbert was a gunslinger. And there's flashes of that. You see that when Herbert does have time. He's throwing much more bombs this year compared to last year. But the O-line is just such a limitation on it. And it also sucks because, just imagine if you had a good O-line. The situation is, I know everybody always calls them what if, man. But actually, what if, man? If he had a good O-line this year, I genuinely think we're Super Bowl contenders. And I think Herbert would easily be in the MVP conversation, which I still think he should. If it's purely based off of most valuable player, Herbert is easily up there in the top 3. But they go off the stats, the pretty stats, who has the most touchdowns, least interceptions, yada yada. So they're going to pick Drake May or Matthew Stafford. But I think genuinely, if you watch every game, if you're like a nerd in the NFL, watch the NFL, every NFL quarterback, every single snap, you would think Herbert, just from the eye test, is MVP contender. And it all just stems down to how the team was built. I mean, the offseason, we got Mekhi Becton, yes, but we could have invested more in the O-line. We had lots of money to work with and be able to bring in other O-linemen, which it's tough to get, especially trading for O-linemen. I get that. They're really valuable because they're so rare in this league. But we could have at least brought some more people in. Even when the trade window was open during this season. We got Trevor Penning. That was it. And, I mean, we see what's happening now. He wasn't very good. It was not worth the 6th-round pick we gave him. I still think we got fleeced for that because he's been really bad this year. He's had his moments, and optimistic Chargers fans will tell you, like, oh, like, there are flashes where the line's good, like Trevor Penning's good. We saw it last week, but it's just against bad teams, like the Raiders. Last week against the Cowboys, those are the only games where the O-line looks decent, and it's because, like, what do you know? They're playing bad teams, and that's just not enough. And the Chargers, the skill position players, they're far more talented, and they're almost in win now mode, and it's just frustrating to see. Now we're not going to win the division. Broncos are the AFC champions, which I guess it's nice to not see the Chiefs in it, winning the West, and they're not in the playoffs. But it sucks because this was a winnable game, and we could have taken it down to the final week, and who knows if we were going to win the AFC West. I genuinely thought for a bit there was a possibility when we're coming back against the Texans today. Or yesterday. I don't know when this video is going to go up. So now the Chargers are most likely going to be playing the Patriots or the Jags in the playoffs. It depends on how the Bills and Eagles do tomorrow as well. It all depends, you know what I mean? But we're still going to play a tougher team instead of having home field advantage and whatnot. And it sucks. So I would have loved to have home field advantage. And, I mean, look at this team. Look at the O-line. Look at the offense. I don't think we're winning. We're going very far in the playoffs anyways. And I could have told you that before today. I mean, the O-line is just not good enough to win a Super Bowl. So it's almost like, what's the point of all this? You know what I mean? But winning the West would have been huge. I don't even think I was conscious the last time the Chargers won the West. It's been a very long time. The commentator today actually said the last time they won it, Herbert was only 11 years old. It would have been nice to finally win something big, you know what I mean? And it sucks because Herbert's so talented and we're just wasting his prime right now. And he's still young-ish, you know, he's not old. I wouldn't say he's young anymore, but he's not old. So he's still got more years, and overall, for the future, it looks good. I honestly think if we build the lineup pretty good next year, we still have lots of cap money. And if we just invest in the draft into our lines for both defensive and offensive line, this team I genuinely think could make a huge push next year, potentially for a championship. Outside the line, I think this team is a very good team. Even the defense, you saw it today. I thought the defense was played insanely good, but we don't count the first quarter. First quarter, they played buns. Just like last week against the Cowboys, except that time it was the first half. They really sucked, but this team adapts, and I love that about this defense. They were getting so hyped too, and Derwin, I can't put into words how important Derwin James is to this team. Not just because of how good he is, we know that he's a Hall of Fame talent, and I wouldn't be surprised if he gets there one day, especially if we win the Super Bowl any year he plays. But his leadership, anytime the camera's on him, he is pumping up this defense, and you can tell they're all playing with energy he brings. If he goes down or he leaves, that defense is going to fall apart. So when we talk about wasting primes, I'm worried we're wasting Derwin's prime. He's starting to get up there in age. He's not super old just yet. He's in about the last year of his prime or two, but it's getting there. I think next year is the final year we're going to see of prime Derwin, prime Derwin, and I think next year is going to be the Chargers' year. I'm not saying it's going to be the year, but if it's going to be their year, it's going to be next year. I don't know if that makes sense, so hopefully it did. But again, yeah, it just goes back to the Chargers kind of failing Herbert and his O-line. I mean, Herbert, broken hand, he was still just insane, firing on all cylinders today. He did everything he could. Just to talk about a few other players, just to kind of, you know, mention them from the game today. This is a review of the Chargers-Texans game after all. I thought the receivers, they came up with big plays when they needed to. Again, the O-line sucked. They all, you know, 2 out of 10 performances from all of them. I don't think any of them did really good. Marlon Hampton did what he could, but he had the same issues what Justin Herbert had. The O-line sucked, so a lot of times he couldn't do anything, but there were times he could have pick the better hole to go through, you know what I mean? Rondé Gatson, I don't know what was up with him today. He's been really good this year, and there's still lots of potential for him. You know, I'm not doubting him. I'm not saying cut him or anything, but this was clearly a bad game. Same goes for Cameron Dicker and Scott. I mentioned that already. Though Scott, I do think we should let go, honestly. I think it's time. I know statistically he was the best punter a few years ago, but, you know, that was in the past. It's time to move on. Keenan came up clutch with the 3rd down catch. I remember that. Other than that, not too much. McConkey had a decent catch. And it was a very quiet day for the receivers. I feel like it's been like that for after pretty much the first month of football, where they have a nice catch or two throughout the game, maybe a few more, but nothing crazy. Herbert's spreading the ball out pretty well. And again, statistically, it's not the greatest. I mean, there's a reason why Herbert's not like slinging a bunch of yards anymore. The line's really failing him, so they really have to rely on the short passing game with just random guys. Not random guys, but tight ends really spread the ball out and rely on the run game. And we honestly just been relying on the defense to bail us out, which they have been. They almost did today. But we're just not seeing the Herbert of old, like, you know, the 2021, 2022 Herbert, where he's slinging that thing, throwing 300 yards a game every single game. And it's just down to the O-line. That's it. I mean, that's the story of the season. Injuries are killing us. And outside the Jags game and the Colts game, I think this defense has been one of the best in the league. Top 3, honestly. And they also showed on primetime. It really highlighted the strong points of the Chargers and the flaws of the Chargers. It really highlighted it for everyone to see, and I'm glad they saw it. Again, I mentioned it before, I'm glad they saw the Herbert, what Charger fans have been preaching forever. He's so much better than what stats say. Easily a top 5 quarterback in the league. So next week, we'll see what happens tomorrow. I'm recording this Saturday, about like an hour and a half after the game ended. We'll see how the other games go in terms of seeding for the Chargers. We're not winning the West anymore, but we still are playing for seeding. And then next week, I mean, all goes well, if you want to say. If the right things happen, maybe the Chargers can bench some players next week. I would honestly love to bench Herbert next week. He's really taken a beating the last few weeks. And maybe some more starters so we can head into the playoffs fresh, which that's going to be a very nervy game. But depending on who we play, I think we could win. Herbert's playing out of his mind right now. He's playing with the mentality I feel like I've never seen him before. I don't know if it's because he's with Madison Beer now or not. I don't know, but he has more of a dog in him compared to previous years. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. Congrats to the Broncos for winning the division. It's cool that the Chiefs didn't win, but it is what it is. But next year, I'll make more of a video about this during the offseason, but I think next year really can be a big year for the Chargers. But yeah, you know, this video has been coordinated. I just was kind of giving my thoughts because I just had to get them off my chest after watching that game. It was a very stressful game. So yeah, thank you for watching.